I just want to roll with a couple of guys.
Well, that would be easy to set up.
Yeah, I want to roll with Connor. Is probably my dream guy that just like get my hands on and just feel a little bit. I think it would be fun. GSP.
What was it like doing that thing with Askren? That you guys did that
it was interesting,
crazy wrestling match?
It was interesting. I respect Ben a ton. He's
I do too.
So at Wrestling Askren, it was when I was in college in 2008. He was on the Olympic team going to Beijing. I was on the junior world team. I was 20 years old at the time. He was on the Olympian. So I'm like, damn, like that's Ben Askren. Like, yo, look who it is. And so super cool for me to kind of have that experience. I remember he took me for a ride to Walmart in his Prius and he let me sit shotgun. And so like from that day on, I like idolized him. And then, you get to this point where idols become rivals. And I'm like, well, this guy is doing extremely well in the MMA world. He's a former wrestler, but he still has his hand in wrestling and he's still a competitor. So, for him, he's like, why not? I'm going to do my best to elevate wrestling's profile. But I knew I could beat him. So, it wasn't really like a risky matchup for me. But it was a lot of fun, bro. We drew a ton of fans. We sold out the Hulu Theater in Times Square. This place was rocking, bro. Like crazy arena. And it was a ton of fun. It was a ton of fun.
It's interesting that like for someone to compete in MMA, you have to do so many different things. You have to strike, you have to do jiu-jitsu, you have to work on all these different aspects that you're wrestling. You're just wrestling. That's what you do. You're an expert at it.
Yeah.
With Ben, he was really elite at it, but at a certain period, oh shit. Now
there goes Ben.
He's got a fucked up hip too, and I'm sure he still had a fucked up hip.
He was all smiles though. Listen, he was like,
he loved it.
There was one point later in the match where I took him down and he was like, bro, I thought you said you were going to let me score or like actually give me a chance. I was like, nah, I'm not the guy. Listen, if you want to build your confidence or if you want to like get prepared for an event by, letting someone throw you a bone, I'm not that guy. But it was fun. You know what? I love Ben for allowing me to compete in this match. You know what's crazy is this was my most viewed match in my entire career.
Wow.
Wrestling Ben Askren, who hadn't wrestled competitively in almost a decade.
It's pretty wild.
Wild.
He's an interesting guy in MMA too because it's a bummer that he made it to the UFC when he did. Because he had really taken a long time off the sport and decided to come back and fight in the UFC. And I just don't think he was the same Ben Askren that was the Bellator champion or when he went over to ONE FC.
Yeah.
He was manhandling motherfuckers. And the best part about it is you got to see a guy who is elite at wrestling and really not elite at anything else.
Yeah.
Just dominating with pure wrestling.
He's a great wrestler.
He's a great wrestler.
Great wrestler. And he's one of those guys, if he gets attached to you, he's dangerous.
Yeah.
Right? If you get your head underneath of him, front headlock position, you forget about it.
He's ridiculously strong, despite what he looks like.
Deceptively strong, right?
Yeah.
Shaped like a pear, wrestle like a bear. So
that's a good way to describe it.
So he's man, he's got the ultimate dad bod, but I tell you what, you don't want to let that dude in on your leg.
For years, but when he was undefeated before he went and fought in the UFC, for years, he would get a hold of guys. You could see this surprised look in their face, like they were confused.
Yeah.
When he fought like Koreshkov and when he fought Douglas Lima, these fucking murderers over in Bellator, those guys were killing people. But he just got a hold of them like, not today. Boom, on your back.
Yeah.
Take these noogies.
Yeah, it was wild because, and maybe it worked out perfectly for him because he got to establish himself here. Mm-hmm. In these lesser leagues, and then made the transition at a good time where, he was knocking on Dana White's door for so long that it almost became comical. It's like, you got to let this guy in here.
True. I just wish that we could have seen him when he was in his athletic prime compete against the guys that he competed against. Like guys like Robbie Lawler and guys like,
but
Masvidal.
He was a guy that he had dwelled here for so long that when he finally got to UFC, they gave him such elite a competition that he never really had a chance to even get his feet wet in the UFC. It was like, all right, Lawler.
Well, that's what the UFC does. Well, he won that fight.
Here you go.
But the Masvidal fight was crazy.
Yeah, but Lawler fight was crazy too, bro. Like that first 45 seconds, it was not looking good for him.
I know, he got hit with some big shots. It was a crazy fight.
But it was, it's Ben has made a lot of money, and he's done very well for himself, and he's still well respected in both spaces. So, I mean, I really guess that's all you can ask for from his perspective. He's done extremely well. He has multiple wrestling clubs back up in Wisconsin. He works for Flow Wrestling down here in Austin, who he, dabbles in commentary and as an analyst for our sport. He's well respected in the MMA community. He's been a champion in ONE FC and Bellator, and fought in the UFC. Like, he's done well.
And he's also he's a fun guy. He takes a lot. He took that loss against Masvidal better than anybody. Like, immediately gets on Twitter. Well, that sucked.
Bro, I was scared.
It was
I
rough.
was legit scared. We were at Buffalo Wild Wings watching that fight.
Yeah.
And we were sitting down like, all right, let's go, Ben, because it was only a couple weeks after I had wrestled him, so I wanted to see him win. Of course, I just wanted to see him win, because I was affiliated with him, so I always want to see the wrestlers win. But it was
kind of crazy that he took a wrestling match a couple of weeks before a big MMA fight.
I threw him off the stage. That was a bad idea. I'm an idiot, bro. Like, I almost cost this man a lot of money just because I was being stupid.
Yeah.
So it was we're good.
Well, it worked out okay.
Yeah. He survived.
But the shot that Masvidal landed on him was horrific.
And that's why I still wrestle.
Yeah.